Hello students, today in the fourth video of Heredity and Evolution, we'll continue with carbon dating method. Last time we did till carbon dating method, so we'll continue with carbon dating method only. Here students, we have already studied what is carbon dating method. This is the method used to find out the age of the fossil fuel which are there inside the earth crust students. Here we know that the carbon consumption of animals and plants stop after the death, and since then only the decaying process of carbon 14 occurs continuously students. Decaying process of carbon 14 occurs. Here when you will see carbon 12 and carbon 14, these two types of carbon are present in our body students, out of which two types of carbon are present in our body students, C12 and C14, out of which C12 is non-radioactive. C12 is non-radioactive students, and C14 is radioactive. When C14 is radioactive, it reduces continuously. Amount of C14 reduces continuously, and the ratio of C12 to C14 changes continuously. So when we study the ratio of C12 to C14, we can find out the age of the fossil fuel, and we can find out the how old this fossil fuel is and from how long uh, it is there in earth crust. So we can study the structure and we can find out the age, and with the help of this we'll come to know about the past ancestors of the present living organisms which are there in our ecosystem at present. Here students, let us continue with the next. Here when you will see the picture students, you can see there are different layers of earth crust, earth surface. Inside the earth surface there are different levels, ground levels, and in these ground levels the different living organisms are there buried inside. They are buried inside the ground level. When we'll dig inside the earth surface, when we'll dig in earth surface, and we'll find out the fossil fuels of the dead organisms which are there present inside the ground level. With the depth, when we go inside, it is more, if depth is more, the age must be more, because they must be deposited first and then the second layer, then the third layer. When we'll see, invertebrates are found in the at the bottom layer of the earth crust students. Inside the ground level they are found, they are inside the earth in a bottom, and that is the reason we can say they are surviving, they are living on earth from long time as compared to others like reptiles, amphibians, reptiles and mammals and aves. So here when you will see at the top, aves and mammals, they are on the uppermost layer. That means they are the last. When we'll study the journey of living organisms, evolution of living organisms, they are at the top in the ground level. If they are at the top, that means they are buried at the last, and when they are buried at the last, that means they are not as old as compared to other students. So as we go inside the earth surface and we get the fossil fuel, we can say they are older one, and they are there inside the earth surface from many years ago students. Here one scientist, he name is Willard Libby. He has been awarded with the Nobel Prize in 1960 for this invention. The age of the materials determined by this method are published in the journal name is Radio carbon. Students, this carbon dating method, when we are saying this carbon dating method is discovered by the scientist name is Willard Libby. Carbon dating method is used in paleontological and anthropology for determining the age of human fossils and manuscripts. Let's continue, students. Next, fifth evidences. When we are talking about evidences of evolution, fifth evidence over here is connecting links, students. Here three examples are there. I'll explain you how connecting links are the evidences and what is connecting link. Here three examples are shown here, students. Duckbill, platypus, lungfish, and peripatus. Here some plants and animals show some morphological characters by which they can be related to two different groups. Hence they are called as connecting links. I'll explain you in detail, students. When we'll talk about peripatus, students, here peripatus is having characters like segmented body, thin cuticle, and parapodia like organs are present. Similarly, the animals show the tracheal respiration and open circulatory system to arthropods, similar to arthropods. Students, here we are having two different properties. This indicates that the peripatus is a connecting link between Annelida and arthropoda. I'll explain you again here, students. I'll explain you again. Here, when we'll talk about peripatus, it is having the property of both Annelida and arthropoda. It is having the property of both. Few characters are matching with Annelida and few characters are matching with arthropoda, students. Which characters? Here peripatus is having segmented body, thin cuticles and parapoda like organs, and this is matching with the Annelida, students. This is matching with the Annelida group. In the same way, they are having tracheal respiration, students. What is trachea? Trachea is a windpipe through which the air passes to the lungs, students. So here tracheal respiration and open circulatory system is there. They are having also a open circulatory system like arthropoda. So they are having property of both Annelida and arthropoda. So we can say this peripatus must be a connecting link between these two, Annelida and arthropoda. When the arthropoda must have been evolved, they must have evolved from the Annelida, and the middle stage of these two must be peripatus. So this is the connecting link, students. This is a connecting link. Let's see one more example. Let's see. This indicates that the peripatus is a connecting link. Between the Annelida and arthropoda. Here, duckbill. When we'll talk about one example is there, duckbill. When we'll talk about duckbill, a platypus lays egg like reptiles. Now they lays egg like reptiles. So here they are having property of reptile, but show relationship with mammals due to presence of mammary gland and hairs. What is mammary gland here, students? Mama feeds their children milk with the help of mammary gland present. So here in the same way, this mama duckbill, they feed their small duckbills, their new ones, their offspring, food, milk by mammary gland, and this property is matching with the mammal, students. So here the duckbill is said to be the connecting link between the mammals and reptiles. They can be called as the connecting link between the reptiles and mammals here, students. One more example, lungfish. When we are talking about fish, we have already studied that the fish, they have gills for respiration. For respiration they are having gills, but this lungfish is having lungs. So lungfish performs the respiration with lungs, respective of being fish. Though lungfish is a fish, still it performs respiration with the help of lung. This example indicates that the mammals are evolved from reptiles and amphibians from fish. So here this lungfish can be said to be a connecting link between the amphibians from fish and the mammals. So here these are the examples, these are the some connecting links between the two groups, two species, students. And with the help of this connecting links we can say that the one of the species must be evolved from the other species, and there are few connecting links between those species, students. So this is again a connecting link, again evidence of evolution. Here connecting links are also proof, or we can say evidences of evolution. Let's continue here, students. When we are talking about reptiles and mammals, when we are doing last, we are saying what is reptiles. We were using the species reptile and we were using the species um, mammals. So what is reptiles? When we'll talk about reptiles, an animal that has cold blood and skin covered in skulls, and whose young one come out of eggs. For example, crocodile and snakes are called as reptile, students. Mammals, an animal of the type that gives birth to live babies, not eggs, and feeds its young one milk from its own body, is called as mammals, students. Is called as mammals. So this is about mammals and reptiles, students. Now sixth evidences is here embryological evidences. Now what is embryo, students? When at the time of sexual reproduction, mama's egg is getting fertilized by the sperm of male. Female's egg is getting fertilized by the sperm of the male, and when it is fertilized, first stage is the zygote formation, and after that embryo is getting formed, and that embryo gets developed, students, inside the womb of the female. So this embryo, when you will see the development stages of the embryos of different species, like here a few species like fish, chicken, cow, rabbit, tortoise, salamander, these examples are given here. When you will see this development stage, first stage, you will find that almost all the living organisms are having same type of embryo. When it reaches to the second stage, you will able to distinguish the difference between the few embryos like fish and salamander. You can differentiate, but rest others are again still they are looking same only in even second stage. When you will reach in third stage, you will able to distinguish the first four: fish, salamander, tortoise and chicken. Rest others, when you will see, you will find they are looking same. So as the stage of development of embryo goes ahead, the distinguish we will able to distinguish the difference between the different embryos. But in the starting, when we'll start to learn to study the structure of the embryo in phase 1, we're not able to distinguish, they are looking like same. So from this we can say embryos show the extreme similarities during initial stage, and those similarities decreases gradually. Here similarity in initial stage indicates that the common origin of all the animals, all animals must have common origin. In the past their ancestors must have same. And this is again a evidence of evolution, students. This is again a evidence of evolution. Let us continue, students. Here, next what we are going to study is Darwin's theory of natural selection. Charles Robert Darwin, from 1809 to 1882, this English biologist proposed the theory of evolution. He showed that all the species of living organisms have been evolved over a period of thousands of years from the common ancestor. He proposed that principle of natural selection is responsible for the evolution. Natural selection, students, what is natural selection? According to natural selection, students, the one who is fit will only able to survive, will only able to live on earth. Otherwise it will be exhausted, it will be diminished, and it will be thrown out of the system, will not able to survive in nature. For example, when I'll talk about the when we'll talk about the, suppose I'm taking the example of cows, or I'll take the example of a group of buffaloes living in a forest area. When tiger attacks on those group of buffaloes, what happens, students? They start running away from the tiger. But if those buffaloes are capable, are fit enough to run away from the tiger and save their life, they will able to save. But the one who is slow, who can't run fast, will have to die, will become a prey, will become a food of that tiger, and that the slower one will be exhausted. That means that slower one is not fit to survive in that environment. So survival is for fittest. This is the natural selection, students. According to Darwin, all the organisms reproduce prolifically. Prolifically means by the formation of uh, embryos, and by giving birth to the, that means by the reproduction production of the other organisms, by the formation of the young one, the new species, new generation. All the organisms compete with each other in a life threatening manner. You must have understood what is life threatening manner. I gave the example of buffaloes. They are struggling for life, to save their life, when tiger is running behind them to hunt them. This is competition. Only those organisms sustain which show the modifications essential for winning the competition. Now, however, beside this, natural selection also plays important role, because natural selection only nature only selects those organisms which are fit to live and rest perish students. Now, sustaining and selected organisms can perform reproduction and thereby give rise to the new species with their own specific characters. So those who are fit to survive in the environment, what they do, they live, they survive, they reproduce, and when the new generation comes, these new generation are having the characters of the last generation, and they are also fit, students. They are also fit. Now let's continue. Origin of species. According to Darwin wrote a book. Name of the book is Origin of Species, written by Charles Darwin. Darwin published this theory of natural selection, which preaches the survival of fittest. In this book, name of the book is Origin of Species, students. So whenever you are having time, you can see and you can read this book, Origin of Species, students. Some of the main objections raised against the Darwin's theory of natural selection. Students, natural selection theory was rejected, we can't say rejected, some objections were raised, students, against this Darwin theory. What were the objection? Main points are written over here. I have brought for you, students. Natural selection is not the only factor responsible for evolution. So here, natural, we can't say that the only natural selection is the factor responsible for evolution, because when we'll talk about human being, though we are not fit, still we can survive in this nature. Why? Because suppose I'm not capable to bear the cold, but I'll bring the jackets and all, and I'll survive here. If I can't tolerate the heat temperature, I'll install ACs. I'll use the cooler, and I'll make sure that I can survive in this environment. Now here, though I'm not fit, still I can survive in the given environment. So we can't say that the only natural selection is the factor responsible for evolution. There are other factors also. So those factors are not mentioned over here in Darwin's theory. Darwin did not mention the explanation about useful and unuseful modification. Students, you must have observed whenever we are using a specific part of our body. For example, when we'll talk about Iron Smith continuously uses his hands um, while operating the iron materials in his job, and that's why his hands become tough like iron. And at the same time, when we'll talk about me only, if I am a teacher, I use my throat to speak continuously, so my speaking capability will increase. So whatever job we do, whatever work we do during this lifespan of us, our body part develops, becomes strong, and when we go for further reproduction, the next generation gets that benefit, evolved uh, body part, strong body part. The body part of that new generation will be according to the past their parents, ancestors. Here there is no explanation about slow changes and abrupt changes. Students, when we are talking about change in body, change in structure, change in behavior of the generation by generation, there is change in behavior, body structure and strength, generation by generation, students. Now here these changes are sometimes slow and sometimes it is abrupt changes. So he did not discuss about these changes, students. So this was again a failure of the Darwin's theory. In respective of all these objections, Darwin's work on evolution has been a milestone. These objections were raised till the Darwin's theory is one of the milestone. And let us continue with the next. After Darwin, Lamarckism. Here Jean Baptiste Lamarck proposed that morphological changes occurring in living organisms are responsible for evolution, and reason behind those morphological changes is activities or laziness of the organisms. As I said to you, he when we are talking about Aaron Smith, his hand is strong because he is using his hand to operate the iron materials. And whereas we are talking about teachers, they use their throat, they continuously give lectures and their throat becomes strong. Here this is because of the use activities done by the people, by the different living organisms. He called this concept as a principle of use or disuse. That means the body part we are using becomes strong, and the body part we are not using becomes weak, students. It becomes weak. Here notes, the living organisms can transfer the characters which it has acquired to the next generation. This is called ancestry of acquired characters. This is called ancestry of acquired characters, students. Let's continue here. After Lamarckism, few examples of Lamarckisms are given over here. With the help of this examples will able to understand this concept in a more better way here. Students, when you will see first example, neck of the giraffe has been has become too long due to the browsing on leaves of tall plants. So continuously browsing of neck, and because of the continuously browsing on leaves of tall plants by extending their neck of several generations, now we can see the neck of the giraffe is too long. So this is because of the activity, students. This is because of the activity done by the giraffes generation by generation. This is not done in one generation, students. It takes many generation, and evolution is a very slow process, students. Here shoulders of the iron smith, when we'll talk about shoulders of iron smith, have become very strong due to the frequent hammering movements. So as the ironsmith frequently do the hammering movement, because of the activity, the shoulder of the ironsmith becomes strong. Wings of the bird, like now here for in first we saw the Lamarckism because of the activity. Now laziness, students. See, wings of the bird like orchid and emu. Here picture is shown here, students. Orchid and emu, these are the largest and second largest bird of the world, students. These two are the largest and second largest bird of the world, students. Here wings of the birds like orchid and emu have become weak due to no use, as they were not using their wings for many generation. Their wings are now not capable to take them high in the sky. They can't fly with the help of their wings, students. Though they are having wings, it is of no use now, because this is of laziness. This is the example of laziness. They did not use, and now it is not capable here. Legs of birds like swan and duck become useful. See, here picture is shown, students. You can see the legs of swan and duck. When you will see the legs of swan and duck become useful for swimming due to the living in water, in the same way, when we'll see the fifth example, snakes have lost their legs by modification in the body for burrowing habit. Now because of the habit, they were not walking, and because of that they were having a habit to burrowing, and that's why, because of the habit, now they are not having legs. They are having we can when we'll study the body structure of the snakes, we'll see there are some evidences as a vestigial organ, that they were having legs in past, but today they are not having legs, students. We did examples of Lamarckism. Now Lamarckism theory was disproved. Even this theory was disproved. There were some demerits here. Development of organs due to the specific activities or their degeneration due to no use at all was widely accepted, but transfer of those characters from generation to generation was rejected. Students, when we are talking about activity, when we are doing activity, our body organ becomes strong. When we are lazy, we are not using, our body organ becomes weak. This concept was accepted by the whole world, but it is discarded that the character is getting transferred from generation to generation. In some cases, when you will see, students, the father and mother both are tall, but the children, they are not tall. Few children are not tall. So it is a it is a pass of characters. It is genetic characters, and sometimes it happens that those characters are not getting transferred. So here this transfer of characters from generation to generation was rejected, because it had been verified many times that the modification brought in us are not transferred to the next generation, students. So this is the demerit, or half of the theory of the Lamarck, scientist Lamarck was rejected, disproved, students, over here. So I'll stop my today's video here only. Next lecture we'll learn about speciation and the species and evolution of being human evolution, and we'll finish this chapter in next video, students. Till then I'll say that goodbye, students. We'll meet in next lecture. Till then I'll say thank you to you, and please don't forget to see my next video of Heredity and Evolution part 5, and in that part 5 we'll finish the chapter, students, and we'll start with the next chapter. Thank you, students, for the day.